I want to talk about Hurricane Sandy because it's had an impact on beachfront communities in every borough. And the money's trickling in, really trickling in from the federal government. We have tremendous infrastructure and transportation problems in the Rockaways. Commuters can't get to and from work. Coming up to the summer, and businesses rely on the tourists and the visitors of that beachfront community for a living. I'm down there constantly looking at businesses going out of business and struggling. What would be your plans, and I'm talking about immediate plans because it needs immediate action to face some of these infrastructure and transportation problems communities like Rockaway and all the other beachfront communities in New York City are facing right now post-Sandy?
And if I can jump in and just sort of sharpen the question a little bit to make sure we get some brief responses is cite the number one thing. What would be your number one priority as mayor in dealing with the issues that Jack talked about? Let's start with you, Joe.
Number one priority would never again have a situation with a natural disaster where the city doesn't have an incident commander. In the Giuliani administration, we opened up and developed the Office of Emergency Management. And the whole point of that was in any single natural disaster, there would be one incident commander in charge. And it hasn't happened in this administration. And so what you saw in the Rockaways in particular, in the very first days, and I was there in the very first days going on, it were the churches, it was the not-for-profits who were trying to coordinate the effort. And you remember what happened when the mayor actually did go down to the Rockaways on Thursday of that week and what happened and how he needed to be taken away from that location for his own safety. What the issue is, no, it's true. The issue overall is going forward from a transportation standpoint. The bridge that connected the A train from Queens, the main part of Queens out there actually collapsed and was destroyed. It's being rebuilt on an expedited basis, and my understanding is it should be opened in June of this year. That'll allow the A train to continue. The fact of the matter is, the bus system that's been put in place is just taking way too long because of the traffic that's going on both of the bridges that go in and out of there. The bridge is being refortified with a wall. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it, so that in the event of a surge, a 14-foot to 15-foot surge, that the bridge would be stable and made in such a way. And there's been great help from the federal government in connection with building that bridge because of the licensing that's necessary given what's there. I think overall, from a transportation standpoint and continuing the businesses there, I think the most important part of the city overall is, in answer to my original question, what is the one thing that you would do? And that is have one person in charge coordinating. When you look at what happened both in Queens and in Rockaways, as well as in Staten Island, whenever all of the agencies come together, they all come together and they all have to talk and they all give their programs and they're not coordinated. That's unacceptable in the city and should never happen again.
Okay, George, looked like you wanted to respond.
The Doe Fund, the organization that I founded and run, has been working out in the Rockaways right from the very beginning in Coney Island and Staten Island. We're right now cleaning up parks out there. I would have to I agree with Joe, of course, about the immediate concerns, but the long-range concerns, I believe, present a great opportunity for jobs, for investment, and for hardening our infrastructure, not only in the Rockaways, but also downtown and Staten Island, and actually almost every borough has been affected by it. But I would take exception, Joe, to what you said about the mayor having to be taken away from visiting the storm because of concerns for his safety. As I recall the incident, there was one person that said something to him, and he referred them to his press person, and they left.
No, I'd encourage you to listen to tape from New York and Herald and send it to
with
you.
all due respect, with all due respect, I believe that the mayor made an appearance there, and one person shouted at him, and he left. I don't know why we'd have to take a knock at Mayor Bloomberg over Sandy, but you seem to want to do that. So I don't.
Because the city wasn't prepared.
Well, that's what you say. But
why is this important, gentlemen?
Let's move on.
As they say in the Bronx, just saying.
Well, it may be important because I'm bringing it up, Alfonso.
George, give us your one priority, and then we'll keep.
I already did. I agree with Joe.
So this time I'm not going to introduce John Catsimatidis, our special guest. I'm going to jump ahead.
Adolfo Carrion will be.
Thank you. I think there are, the first thing I would do is set up an office at City Hall for 2 people. One of them is my friend Sean Donovan, who's in charge of this on the side of the federal government. And the other would be our Deputy Mayor of Operations, my Deputy Mayor of Operations. And the number 1 priority, because we know that we're already well underway spending I guess it's about $6.5 billion is coming to us. It sounds like, and I knock on wood, that we will, our purse will be refilled fully by the federal government. So we're well on our way restoring NYCHA. We're well on our way restoring the schools that were damaged. We're well on our way in the mass transit system. I know because I'm very familiar with what the MTA is doing. They've got a $2 billion program underway right now. They're pushing RFPs out the door. They're asking for waivers on rules to get things done faster. I think the number 1 thing for me, Errol, would be get people back in their homes as quickly as possible if they choose to stay in those battered areas. And all the mechanics associated with that, number 1. And number 2, get businesses, Jack, back up and running, because it's about the economy. At the end of the day, we cannot allow these businesses to fall away, and these people who have risked their life savings and are betting on New York to shut their doors and not be able to conduct business.
Okay, thank you. And we've got Linda Barron with a question from these. Oh, I'm sorry, John.
Earl always excludes me.
No, just.
It's okay, you're prejudiced.
Never, John.
I'm not taking it personally. I believe that the federal government has gone much too slow in providing the money, providing the people to help Staten Island, Brooklyn. And it is a sin, and somebody should be yelling a little bit about that. But I'm also a big picture person. I believe that the city has not had infrastructure in many, many years. People come from overseas and they laugh at some of our infrastructure. I've been talking to investment bankers, and we're close to having good discussions of creating a $100 billion fund with a new 50-year bond program to create 20,000 to 30,000 jobs that will be concentrated just on infrastructure. I'm not a person that talks about this and that. I'm a person that likes to visualize a bigger picture. I want to create those 20,000, 30,000 jobs, create that $100 billion just to do infrastructure for our city that hasn't been done in 20 or 30 years. Thank you.
Would just to clarify that, would that give special priority to the areas damaged by the hurricane?
A lot of it will be assigned to those areas. Now, Earl, you got to remember, I'm one of the few. I am building in Coney Island. We have zoning to build 3 towers on Coney Island, which we are beginning this spring or early summer.
Okay.
But you can't, you got to build qualified housing. You can't build something that, if the wind blows too hard, it just falls over. So,
Yes, Linda.
combination.
First of all, I'd like to thank